Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody can hear me okay. We are doing a little bit of a different setup here today. I want to welcome Rex Wally, Stephen Snow, Joseph Jolly, Dominic Versetto, Photo, Anne, and anybody else that might be in the audience today. And welcome to the first layer. Hopefully that you can hear what I'm saying. If you can, just say yes in the chat. Hey, there's Peter Reynolds, my good friend. So just say yes that you can hear me in the chat. I don't have headphones on, and I'm not monitoring the actual feed. I'm all by myself today. Last part, my name is Anne Minamera. Yes, Peter Reynolds says yes, you can hear me. Okay, good. And I always keep messing up your name, so we can hear you. Okay, great. Now, you're going to hear some background noise today. You can see I've got a light on back there. I'm filming some stuff for this week's coming episode. We are actually going to be putting together this guy, and we are going to be showing you all the stuff that goes inside of him, and we're going to do a little bit of programming. So we're going to build our first robot this week, and well, technically it's our second robot, but we're going to build him this Wednesday. We're going to take you through that. We're going to talk a little bit more about what goes into him. I have some of the parts here on my table, and if you're hearing that big squeak, that's not me. That's my chair. I'm not blaming it on the dog. I'm blaming it on my chair. It's not me. So this is what we're going to be putting in. This is just an Arduino Nano with a shield, and we've got all kinds of motors attached to it. So here, I'll give you guys a quick view of what's going on over there. I just happen to have my Wisecam set up. So there you go. There we go. So you can see what's happening there. My Wisecam is printing more parts. So there we are. I've got to address a couple of things real quick this morning before we get started into your questions. And first and foremost, I've gotten a lot of questions regarding why I'm not promoting Matter 3D filament any longer. It's not that I don't like their product. I love their product. I will never badmouth their product. Their product is an amazing Canadian-made filament. And if you've been buying it, I suggest that you continue to buy it if you like. If you're sold on it, that's something I would definitely recommend that you do. However, I work for filaments.ca, and as part of my employment agreement, I cannot promote other products other than those that are sold by filaments.ca. That's just kind of the way it is. They are a sponsor of our shows now, our live streams, and our regular shows. And then I also do content for them over on their filaments.ca channel. Speaking of which, this week we talked a little bit about bed adhesives. And we are going to continue to talk about bed adhesives in 2 weeks when I show you exactly how to apply these to your build surface. And we're going to run a test. We're going to do 6 different products. We're going to do a test, and we're going to see which one looks the best on the bottom, and we'll go from there. So Dominic's asking, am I going to release a first layer version of the robot? I am. I have been secret, though. You kind of just spoiled that, Dominic, but I am working on a first layer version of this guy. So it will be a fully runnable robot. We've got, like I said, we've got sensors, or we've got motors. We've got some touch sensors here that we're going to be using. So we've got some touch sensors we're going to be using. There is also some ultrasonic sensor we're going to be putting into my version of the robot. And these are all things that can be found in the regular version as well of the Auto DIY 3D robot. And if you don't know much about that, go and watch Wednesday's episode. There are links to how to get into doing this. You can buy a pre-made kit, or you can go out and source your materials like I did. I also have some little microphones here that I can put into the ears so that he can hear. What else we got? Now I built myself a testing rig to test servos, and this servo rig, it actually works quite well. I'm pretty impressed with what I've done here. Basically, you use the potentiometer to dial your servo to its 90-degree point. Then you can put it into your robot. So that's something that's really cool. It's just running on an Arduino Uno. Hi again, all, and welcome back, Richard, Mark Baker. Welcome back, Mark. Thank you very much for joining us today. Hey, go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. We're going to be here for the next hour or so, or a little less than an hour now, but I am going to be answering your questions about 3D printing today. Brian's not with me. He has other commitments today, so he's taking care of that. But, you know, I can do the solo thing. You know, I'm kind of a scruffy nerf herder, so I can do the solo thing. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about electronics coming up in upcoming episodes. We've got all kinds of cool things. Now, somebody also asked this week, when am I going to be starting my junk build? And that's what we're calling it. We're calling it the junk drawer build. I will be starting that in about 2 weeks' time. I'm just kind of putting together all my parts now and see what I have to do, and I'm working on a little bit of a design. I still haven't decided if I'm going to make a Cartesian, a Core XY, or what I'm going to do there, or maybe a Cartesian box frame. You guys let me know what you think I should do, and I'd be happy to do that, and we'll go from there. How's that sound? Hopefully you guys will be watching that very, very closely. Dominic says he would buy it if I sold it as a kit. Well, I know that people would love this, but there are kits available. I am going to, in this week's episode, be showing you where you can buy all the parts, where you can buy kits. And then when I release my own version of the Auto DIY robot, my own skin, I will be releasing that for free, and it will be available on printables.com, and it'll be my first upload to printables.com, actually. And then I will be releasing another very special one that nobody has ever done yet, or not that I've seen they've done yet. So it was brainstorming kept me up, and I thought I would try it. And I appreciate the fact that you would buy a kit from me. It's for me to source all the parts and then make up kits. It's just a pain in the butt. But that being said, we're going to be showing you a little bit about soldering. Not that there's a lot of soldering to do on this. There actually is no soldering to do. If you buy yourself an Arduino Nano, if you buy them in a kit, you do have to sort of put the pins on there yourself, but that's no big deal. The shields, like I said, I think it's like 3 for $10 or $15 or something. You can get these on Amazon, and I'll have a link in this week's episode down below in the description. So you'll be able to go and find all the parts that you need. And all I did here was I added a little connection for battery power, because I am going to be adding a LiPo battery to this, a rechargeable LiPo, so that I can recharge him and he can work without being tethered. Once I program him, he can just work without being tethered. Dominic says he has a bunch of 68-pin SCSI cables in his junk bin if I need some. Dominic, you know what? I may just need some SCSI cables. Speaking of SCSI cables, I got a quick little story to tell you. I was going through some stuff here in the house as I start to purge a bunch of stuff that we have. Some of it is left over from my wife's parents when they lived here before they passed away. But I have boxes of stuff. stuff I've carried around for years. And one of the things that I found was an iOmega zip drive. If anybody remembers what those zip drives were, it's a very, very cool zip drive. And if somebody is looking for an old zip drive that I know still works, I'm happy to get rid of a zip drive if you're local. If you're a collector of old technology, that might be something to keep around. I was thinking about keeping it and putting it on the set somewhere, but, you know, not something I'm going to continue. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to be continuing on our project here to make a HAL 9000. I came across some switches, and you guys know that I've got a pile of monitors around here, 7-inch monitors, so we're going to be doing that. David Sell, hello! And says 100 megabyte zip drive, had them also. Yes, they are very cool. As an RC guy, Snapshot FPV says, I'm well versed in LiPo charging, but for those who may not be, perhaps a section on proper charging rules. That's actually a really good idea. I am going to get into that more. I'm building up to displays I'm going to do at next year's Maker Faire here in Calgary, and hopefully next year's Maker Faire into next year's Maker Faire in Edmonton, and then we'll see about where we go from there, if we go to other places around the country. But I'm deeply invested into Maker Faire. I'm on the committee for our Maker Faire here locally next year. I'm going to be trying to get us some guests, be putting on the stage, and we're hoping for a much bigger and better Maker Faire. If you are local or you'd like to come and join us, Maker Faire next year is going to be on the 14th and 15th, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's going to be on the 15th of May next year, 14th and 15th of May next year. And I look forward to everybody, meeting everybody at our booth. I'm going to be running around like a chicken with my head cut off, because I am going to be Master of Ceremonies again next year at the show. And I hope that, you guys will mark your calendars, and I'll give you more and more as we go along. Working on a small video for next year. You guys know I'm a big Star Wars fan. So May the 4th next year is this is something I've always wanted to do a little film, but I want to incorporate making into it and 3D printing and that sort of thing. So we've got a lot of things that are going to be going on next year. So it is something that I hope that if you're local and you want to be involved, just hit me up. We've been talking with the Auto DIY guys. Looks like they want to show us the Ninja humanoid robot, and we may be getting that in very near future as well. What else have we got going on? Lots coming up. Like I said, we're going to go into part 2 in a couple of weeks of our adhesives. Some people have asked me about adhesives. Let's talk about this a little bit. 3D Experiments. Hello, sir. Welcome. Let's talk about bed adhesion. You guys all know that I'm a big fan of this stuff, glue stick. And I am not a big fan of this stuff, hairspray. I think hairspray is the worst stuff that you can use in and around your printer, because it just gets on everything. Now, I know the argument is going to be that, there's lots of guys that have gone out and said that, I just take it off and I go spray it in another room and then I bring it back and so on and so forth. That's great. I'm lazy, so I don't want to do that. I want to do everything at my printer, and this is just going to muck up the works, as it were, because this gets into the air and it just lands on everything and makes everything just a sticky mess. Not good for your mechanical parts of your 3D printer. So it's something that I would definitely not use. But I use this stuff all the time. I think it's great. I use it with PETG. I use it with ABS. I use it with PLA, which are the 3 go-tos that I use most often. I've got a whole bunch of Ninja Flex. on the shelf over there that we're going to be getting into. We're going to talk about different Ninja Flexes on the filaments.ca channel. Here's another one, 3D Gloop. This stuff, great for welding 3D prints together, like your 3D printed parts. It's an amazing product. I really, really like it for that. However, it stinks. It's very much like contact cement, and as somebody who suffers from asthma on occasion, this stuff is not great, but it bonds your plastic together amazingly well. There are different formulations of 3D Gloop. There's different formulations of Magic Goo. You can use 3D Gloop on your bed to hold your print down, as I got into. So something to really kind of look at. We're going to be going through and talking with a local company here very soon about their 3D printing process. Dominic says he uses Vision Miner nanopolymer religiously. So I think that's great. Glue stick, nanopolymer, whatever you want to use, whatever works for you. And you guys have heard me say this a million times. Whatever works for you, use it. What else? There's nothing else to really say about that. But if you like it, use it. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not great. The only one I always caution against, of course, is anything that you've got to spray, because if it's an aerosol, it's going to go into the air and it's going to go everywhere. So, but yeah, use what you like and go from there. And I have to have water. It's very dry here today. So let's see. Is there any more questions? Not really. We don't have any more questions. Okay, well, let's just keep talking about stuff that's going on. This stuff I talked about as well. You guys know what this is. This is polyamide tape, or Kapton tape, as it's commonly known. Love this stuff. It's a great product. It is expensive when you start getting into putting it on your bed on a regular basis. You can get really wide stuff. You can get narrow stuff. It comes in all kinds of varieties of sizes. Blue painter's tape, which was my go-to when I got started. It does leave residue behind if your heat gets too high. But at the same token, it is readily available everywhere, very much like glue stick. You can put it just about on any surface, and it works well. Great if you're using PETG. We're going to talk a little bit about how to solder coming up, because we're going to be doing some soldering on other projects as we move forward. I've got a bunch of these monitors I don't know what to do with. I found this really cool case the other day. One of these. This is one of those cheap Walmart cases that you can buy, and they come with another smaller case inside. And in my smaller case, which I have here underneath my desk, this is the small case that comes inside of it. And in mine, I have my Blood Bowl game, my Blood Bowl figures. And if anybody's not familiar, this takes me back to my days of working with Games Workshop. And this is my human team, my human Blood Bowl team. They could still use some painting. I never did finish painting them, but here's one of the things that I did that I thought was really cool. In the game, you have ogres. You can 3D print these things really easily, but I couldn't find an ogre I really liked. So HeroClix, if you're familiar with that game, it's another tabletop game popular among kids. I took a HeroClix Hulk and repainted him to be my Blood Bowl ogre. So, and then I've got my Chaos team, and then there is my Vampire team, or my Undead team right here. So they're all painted. Their bases are mostly done. But yeah, I like playing Blood Bowl. I haven't played it in a long, long time, and I'd love to get back to playing it. It's one of those drinking games that everybody loves to play. If If you like to have a drink once in a while, it's a great game. All right, so let's see. Dominic, let's go to 3D experiments. What wire wrap material is good for easy maintenance? Wire wrap material. I'm assuming you're talking about like loom and things like that. I think split loom is good. I also like the fabric that collapses. It's kind of a mesh fabric. I like that one as well. Those are the two that I like the most. The split loom is a little tougher. It's a stiffer plastic, so it can be a little bit a little bit stiffer if you're putting it on a 3D printer. But if you're using it for 3D printing, again, I would recommend the fabric version. I used to have some kicking around here. I don't at the moment, but suffice to say, it's something that you can certainly go in and look into. Cheap versus expensive soldering iron shout out. Yes, I have both. Well, I wouldn't say I have an expensive soldering iron, but I do have cheap soldering irons that you can get almost anywhere for $10 to $20. Soldering irons are, I guess, to me, I guess soldering irons are a matter of choice. What do you want to do with them? I'm building a soldering station. Brian Thompson over at the Smuggler's Room. Really like his stuff. If you guys have never been over to the Smuggler's Room, I recommend that you go over and check out the Smuggler's Room on YouTube, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. He does all kinds of great things. He has a great personality. He even uses some 3D printing from time to time. And Brian Thompson inspired me to build my own soldering station that has a little bit of that Star Wars flair to it. I just need some fans. I've been digging out some of my old computers and checking out what I've got there and how the fans are. And I've got one sitting over there that's an old AMD that I thought about turning into a server box. So just to have an entertainment server or whatever. It's only got, I think, 4 gigs of RAM in it, but it has a 500 gig SSD in it that I may steal and put into something else because I don't need a big SSD in there. But yeah, as far as soldering irons go, I have several soldering irons. One I just use for putting in inserts. It's just a simple little one that all I do is put in inserts with it. And then I've got some that are cheap ones that have no heat control on them. Then I have one that has a heat control. I have a Weller that has a heat control on it. It's not a very expensive Weller. I think it's only about $45 or $50 for that Weller. And I really like it, but I do like having a very fine tip on my soldering irons because I'm not somebody who's soldering big, thick wire together. I'm always using something on a board, or I'm soldering pins to a board or something along that line. So it's something that I would definitely recommend that you invest in if you're looking for a soldering iron. We're going to talk about electronic tools that I think people should have. You'll notice here on my helping hands, I've had these helping hands. These are just really cheap helping hands. I mean, a lot of times these alligator clips just fall out, but and it's really tough to get a nice tight squeeze on these. But I've put my solder right there on one of the arms, so it's very easy and convenient for me to get to. Something that I would definitely recommend if you've got one of these and you get a little thing of solder. That's a good place to put it because it's always handy and it's weighted and it doesn't go off all over the place. I used to have this stupid problem of having this on the table and then trying to pull off a little bit to solder my pins down, and it would roll off the table, and then I'd be chasing the dang thing to get it re-rolled, and it was such a pain in the butt. Now I just put it on here, and it works out real great. Let's see what else we got here. Snapshot FPV TS100 is a nice soldering iron for travel, and it'll run on a LiPo 3S battery. That's something to kind of check into. Speaking of paying the bills and sponsors, let me just quickly say we want to thank the filaments.ca for their sponsorship of the first layer and Ask for Help. They have all kinds of great stuff over on their website. Filaments.ca is the oldest family-owned filaments retailer, online retailer in Canada. They make their own filament. They're always pushing the envelope about what they have. They have some exclusive brands as well available here in Canada. Go check them out. And there is a sale on till the end of today. It's a weekend special. And if you use product code, let me just see if I can find that. I know I put it up on the Facebook page. Let me just go look for a second. Bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. No, I wouldn't make you talk amongst yourselves. Here we go. Let's go into So they have they are having a sale this weekend. They are having a big sale this weekend. I have to go back to the home page here. There we go. Come on. There we go. Where did this week's sale go? I know there was a sale. It's in my I bet you it's in my email. You know what? If I pull up my email, I'll be able to find it even quicker. Because they are having a really cool sale this weekend, and there it is, 20% off summer sale. If you use SUN20, SUN20, you can get 20% off PLA and PETG on their website till the end of today. And if your order is $125 or more Canadian, you will also get free shipping no matter where you are in the country. So now is a great time to go ahead and use that code SUN20 at filaments.ca for PETG and PLA. So I recommend that you go check that out, and thank you to filaments.ca for their sponsorship of the first layer. And that's they've got a TikTok channel now too. I'm not on their TikTok channel. Nothing there for me. Let's close that out. There we go. So, all hail to Clipper, Tim Stockel. All hail to Clipper, and we are going to talk about those different interfaces coming up as well in a later video. We're working on a video now to talk about Clipper, Octoprint, Astroprint, and a couple of the others that are available out there. When we build our junkyard or our junk drawer build, it is going to be a 300 by 300 build volume, maybe 300 by 300 by 400. I haven't decided yet. I have to see what I still have for parts. And we are going to make it as good as we can for the junk that we have here in the studio. Now, we've got some pretty good boards still kicking around here, and we've got lots of 2208 stepper drivers. We've got monitors. We've got all the things that we need to put together a 3D printer. Tim says, you're going to use an orbiter extruder. No, I am not. I am probably going to use one of the extruders that I have around here. Probably just a standard extruder. I'm not sure yet if it's going to be Bowden or it's going to be direct drive. I haven't decided that yet. I may make it a direct drive if I can. I have some E3D V6 hot ends or clone hot ends kicking around here and a mount that I can use. I've got some old CR-10 Pro parts kicking around here. I've got plenty of wheels. I did find belts, so I don't have to go out and buy belts, and I don't have to ruin the actual junk drawer build by having to purchase anything. So We're going to make it as simple as possible. This is all stuff that I've got in my junk drawer, so I want to bring that to you guys. And let's see if we can't build something that works well. And if we can, we'll dress it up. And that's why I was talking about the Smuggler's Room, Brian Johnson or Brian Thompson over on the Smuggler's Room, because I'm kind of thinking I might Star Wars theme it if I put panels on and make it an enclosed printer, which is something I've been contemplating, making it enclosed so I can print PETG and PLA and ABS especially. So that's something that we're going to be talking about as we build that. And that's going to be over several weeks. It's not going to be something where we sit down and we throw everything on the table and we build it in one day. There's a lot of planning that has to go into that. I may have to be making up my own wire harnesses. We haven't decided yet, or I haven't decided yet. So we're going to go from there and see what happens. Now, let's see if we got any more questions. No. Why do I keep getting audio current bit lower than recommended bit rate? Something's wrong. For anybody that was on Rogers this last couple of days, they'll know that Rogers had an outage at the tail end of this week. And phones were down, texting was down, all kinds of things was down. And it was a real pain in the butt to be without connection on your phone. Maybe I'm old, and I am old, but I think up until maybe a year ago, not even a year ago, my wife and I still had a landline. In case something goes wrong with this, we had a landline. So we could still call out on a landline and make phone calls. We no longer have the landline, so we're stuck with these. Now, are these convenient? Yes, absolutely they are. Are they a pain in the butt when they go down? Yes, they are, because you've lost all communication. Tell me if you've still got payphones in your city or town, wherever you live. Because in Calgary, they are like unicorns that are hard to find. Because there's not really a telephone company anymore. Andrew Osmond, hello. Hi from Washington State, USA, and my makerspace. Where is there about E3S1 or more upgrade? Still have landlines here in the Netherlands also. The Netherlands is some place I'd like to visit, even though my heritage is not from the Netherlands. I'd love to go and visit the Netherlands at some point. So Andrew Osmond, he's what's my thought about the E3S1 or more upgrade? I don't really have a thought on that yet. I haven't done much research into it yet. I will be doing some research into it very soon. Right now, this weekend, we are having our Calgary Stampede. This is Stampede Week, where all the cowboys and so on come together, and there's chuck wagon races and all kinds of stuff. And I know I could be there today, but I'm not. I'm not a big Stampede fan. I don't go on rides. Here's the little secret. I get motion sickness on rides, so they freak me out. I've been that way ever since I was a kid, so I don't go on rides, so I'm pretty boring. And I've worked for a carnival when I was in my teens, so I don't play the games because I know how much of a scam they are. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Maybe we can make a 3D printed carnival game for next year's Maker Faire. That would be a cool project to do. This year I want to do, or this last half of the year, I want to do more projects. We are going to continue to answer questions for you. That is still our main goal, is education. There was a comment recently that if I'm not going to answer questions, don't bother saying that I will. Well, here's the problem with that, is that I only have so much time in a day to answer questions, and I do this for free, essentially. If you use the super chat, that's great. It helps out the channel. If you're a member, that's great. It helps out the channel. But at the end of the day, this is something that I do. I use my time to help you. So I apologize that I can't get to every question every week. And sometimes they get lost in the shuffle. But I appreciate you guys coming by and asking your questions, and I do my best to answer them each and every week. And if I don't get to them, I'm sorry. It's just the way that it is. Snapshot, Richard, would be cool for Junk Project to add audio clips that play for different functions, i.e. start the print, you may fire when ready, things like that. I think that's a great idea. It's something that I have to research a little bit. But I am going to be putting a Raspberry Pi. I have some Raspberry Pi 3s around here, so I'm going to be dropping that into the printer. And we'll go ahead and probably do something along that line. And maybe if I Star Wars theme the build, maybe we'll use some R2 sounds or some sounds from different sci-fi movies. Part cooling upgrade has made a lot of improvement in my prints. Dominic Rossetto was saying, part cooling is a mystery to a lot of people. And I've gone through this with some people over this past week, where they're trying to print a material and it's separating or it's lifting. And it's because they forgot to turn off the part cooling. When you move from PLA, which needs part cooling basically from the second layer to completion, it can be a bit of a problem when you go and stick in that PETG and you forgot to turn off the part cooling, because PETG doesn't really need part cooling. Sometimes, depending on where it is, like if it's in an enclosure, like a Voron or something along that line, we are going to be, faced with it getting too warm. So a little bit of part cooling might be appropriate there, but you're not going to take it up to 100%. You're maybe going to kick it in at about 25% speed. So there's not a lot, but there is a little bit. But part cooling can be a nightmare, especially if you're new to 3D printing. And here's where I think a lot of people have done great work in adapting part coolers and the way that the air flows around the hot end to try to make it better and get more efficient cooling on the parts, which I think is great. But sometimes people just don't get it. Sometimes what comes with the printer is more than enough to satisfy most part cooling situations. On a Creality, it works great. I don't see any reason to add any more part cooling or change up the part cooling. The fans, yes. I agree with changing out the fans to a ball bearing or dual ball or double ball bearing fan setup. Get rid of those sleeve bearings, because those things just break down way too easy and they're way too noisy. Trio 17, why does random spots in my first layer have really, really thin layers that are getting stuck when I'm using the CR Touch? The reason that happens is because first of all, and this is no slight against you whatsoever. First of all, your bed is probably a little unlevel. Now, a BL Touch or a CR Touch, doesn't matter, they're all the same. Anything that drops that little probe does kind of the same thing. What that is doing is that is measuring the spots on the bed to tell you how much of a bad mesh your bed may have. And the CR Touch is not a bed. There we go. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. My computer just crashed. That's gotta suck. It does suck. blue screened me, which it doesn't usually do. Okay. I don't know what happened. All right, let's turn that one off. Stepped away for a sec, came back to see Richard praying. Yeah, praying. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It just blue screened on me, but anyway, so we're back. I can't say that, Dominic, but you never know. Maybe they don't like my show over there. Who knows? I think they've got more pressing problems than me. But yes, anyway, we've still got time. We're still going to keep going. But I'm glad we're back. It did crash, so now we've recovered. We're back. We're going to keep going. All right. Yeah. So if you like today's program, please hit that like. I want to let you know, coming this Wednesday, we've got more from this guy, which we are printing another one in the back so that we can show you how everything goes together. We're going to do some dancing. This guy, speaking of robotics, I really want to do more projects based around 3D printing and robotics. So I'm hoping that you guys have some suggestions. There was a suggestion that maybe I do a my version of this, first layer version, and I am going to do that. Thank you, Dominic. You spoiled that surprise. A snapshot. Yeah, maybe they need help printing more. I don't know. We don't do that over here. You know what? This may get me flagged. I don't know, but if it does, I'm happy to be a little controversial. 3D printed firearms. I want to tell you that if you've ever considered it, don't. Please don't do it. There was an instance once where I had a student when I was doing the build and learns, where we built a 3D printer, and I taught you about the software and got you all set up so you could go home and start printing. This gentleman took my class, learned about it, and then went home and started printing firearm parts, and was letting people know online that he had firearm parts that were 3D printed. Well, it's illegal here in Canada, and I'm sure in the States, in some places in the States, to 3D print firearms. And if you get caught doing it, you can do severe jail time. And it's not a smart thing to do. It's dangerous, because remember, you're dealing with gas compressions inside of a weak plastic housing. That's why they don't make firearms out of plastic. Okay. No, I was kidding. No, I know you're kidding, but it's a topic that I did try to work with our local authorities to try and do a video a few years ago on 3D printed firearms and why they are not a good idea. After I got the runaround from this agency to that agency to this agency, I was finally told, no, go away. We don't want to have anything to do with it. And it's unfortunate, because I thought it would be a really good educational content as to why there is these restrictions. Yeah, if you're not a gunsmith, don't even try putting or printing a firearm. I agree. If you're not a gunsmith, and I am not a gunsmith, I have fired firearms. I've never owned a firearm. I've shot bows. I have owned a bow in my youth, but I never owned a firearm. I come from a family on my mother's side that was very much into hunting. On my father's side, they're fishermen, so, outdoors is kind of in my blood. But, yeah, I think that when you get into wanting to print 3D firearms, unless you're printing something like a blaster or a ray gun or something from a video game, you're just asking for trouble. Is it a bad idea to level the bed with the move axis option on your 3D or on your Ender Pro? I don't use that option. I'll tell you exactly how I do it, and I should do an updated video on this about bed leveling. What I typically do is I turn all that off. I don't want any assisted bed leveling when I do my initial bed level, because when I set that bed level by hand, I know, because I've got enough experience, how to do it. And this right here, these Post-it notes, are the perfect thickness for setting your bed or your nozzle to bed height. Piece of paper is fine too. I just find these are just the right thickness because they're just a little bit thinner than a piece of paper, and I can feel the head much better. The other key to that is make sure that you have no filament in your hot end. Make sure that your hot end tip is clean, so you're not so you don't have any residue that's interfering with that level. And what we're doing here is we're not typically leveling the bed, we're tramming the bed. So when we tram with a probe of sorts, what we're doing is we're creating that mesh. And that's what I was talking about before we went down. That mesh is basically telling you where the dips and valleys are. And if you've got that set up in your firmware, it can take that information and it can ride that wave of the uneven build surface. Now, it can be done extreme. It can be done, and I've seen guys like Thomas Sandlander and over at Tom's 3D Printing and Maker's Muse and Stefan over at CNC Kitchen. They've all kind of done videos like this, and I think that at the end of the day, if you can learn to level your bed by hand, when you add a BL Touch, all it's going to do is it's going to enhance that. And the BL Touch, yes, you can turn it on, it can go and probe, but not necessarily taking that data and putting it into memory, because your printer really only has so much memory to work with. And if it's always constantly putting data in from the SD card, it's buffering, it's printing, it's buffering, it's printing. So Snapshot said he just measured a Post-it and it's 0.10 millimeters. And yeah, that's why I like Post-its. They're the paper, they give me just the right. And I think that is the last of those questions. Okay. So far, so good. We haven't had a lot of people today, but that's okay. We are getting back into it. This is a show that's going to happen every Sunday. Again, we're coming back every Sunday. Brian will not always be here. I know that may disappoint some of you guys. Brian may not always be here. We both had a very rough beginning to the year. I had to take some time away. Just to improve not only my mental state, but also get things reorganized here in the studio so that we could keep going. Brian had very much the same things happen to him. So he is still dealing with the fallout of some of that. But he will be back and he will be popping in from time to time. So we want Brian to come back, and I think for the most part he's going to be my only co-host. Now at the end of the month, the last Sunday of the month, let's have a look at what that's going to be. We are going to, let's go to our calendar here. Do I even have a calendar on here? Sure I do. I'm sure I have a calendar somewhere. There it is. So the last Sunday of this month is the 31st. On the 31st, I'm going to be doing a round table. If you are interested in being a part of that round table where we talk with you guys, the community, we'll set up a Zoom call. We'll broadcast the Zoom call. And I really hope that you'll join us for that on the 31st. Just drop me an email to richard@thefirstlayer.com, and I'll be happy to add you to the list. We can only have so many people in our Zoom call before it starts getting too crowded. But the requirement is, if you want to be a part of that show at the last of this month, and we're going to do this at the last Sunday of every month, if you want to be a part of that show, you must have a camera and you must have a microphone. Okay? Those are the two requirements if you want to be a part of the roundtable. And all that roundtable discussion is going to be is we're going to talk about 3D printing. We're going to talk about what you're currently working on, what your favorite printers are. You know, it'll all revolve around you, not about me. It's all going to be revolving around you guys. So if you want to be a part of that, drop me an email to richard@thefirstlayer.com. And just say, I'd like to be a part of the end of the month's live stream. And just please be sure that you have a camera and a microphone. Those are the two things that you must have. Snapshot, he says, Richard and Brian, just Richard or just Brian, whatever the combination, never a disappointment. Thank you very much, Snapshot. I do appreciate that. And Brian, I'm sure, appreciates that as well. I know he's not watching today. He's working on his truck. You know, that's the way things go. We are going to keep this to an hour today. I know that we had a small little glitch, but we're going to keep it to an hour. So we've got about 6 minutes left. If anybody's got a question or you want to make some comments, please do so. Again, I want to reiterate that I know that you guys might be disappointed that we're not promoting Matter 3D anymore. But my contract and my employment agreement with filaments.ca does prevent me from promoting other products from other companies or competitor products. That doesn't mean to say we can't do head-to-head battles between different filaments and find out what the properties are. We can still certainly do that. It's just we won't be reviewing 3D printer filament that is not from the filaments.ca website. And remember, this weekend only, till the end of, I think, till midnight tonight, you can get 20% off at using the code SUN20 at filaments.ca off your PETG or PLA. So PLA and PETG are 20% off using the code SUN20 at checkout. Over on the filaments.ca website. Please go ahead if you're interested in getting some more filament. Do so. If you're in Canada and you're looking to not pay for shipping, if your order is $125 or more before tax, you can get free shipping across Canada. Andrew, have you heard of the Beagle Cam, and what do you think of it? I have heard of the Beagle Cam. I think it's a good product. I'm trying to get it in here. I'm trying to get it back in here, or get it in here to do a review on. We have a new printer coming from FlashForge in September. We're going to be dropping our video for that. I can't tell you very much more about it because I'm under NDA, but we will be doing printer reviews again. And the company that I work with to get me those printers for reviews have added me to the list, so I'll be getting the latest printer from FlashForge. Snapshot, don't know why, but my membership fell away. Yeah, sometimes they do, and sometimes you have to go back in. And I know from my own perspective, speaking of memberships, when I took the little hiatus because things were just very chaotic in my life, I needed to kind of decompress, and I thank you people for sticking with us. Those of you that are members in our membership, I do appreciate you sticking with me, and every little bit helped to get us over some humps. We're still not in the black yet. We're still in the red, but we are working hard. My wife did secure employment, but for whatever reason, they just decided not to keep her. And now she is out looking for another job. So if you're in the Calgary area or you're looking for a telepresence receptionist, let me know, and I can send my wife your way. We've got a new company coming up we're going to go and do an interview with. It'll be an on-location episode coming up here in another few weeks. Yeah, a bunch of real cool projects. Easy Robot, we're working with them to do another robot. I really want to get into doing more and more robots because I think Maker Faire and being a part of Maker Faire is a very important project to be involved with, a very important organization to be involved with. So our last episode of this month, we're going to be taking a look at 3D printer news from around the web and let you know where a Maker Faire might be in your location as well. That's what we're going to do at the last of every month for our last episode of every month as well. My wife writes those shows, so she does all the research and gets everything ready, and then I just do the scripting for it, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think it's very cool that there's a lot of stuff out there. Maker Faire is important, and I can't stress this enough because there aren't enough programs in our schools today to teach kids the fundamentals of making anymore. We've gotten away from that. A lot of schools don't have industrial arts programs like they did when I went to school, and I think that's a shame. I'd love to go back to my hometown of Thompson, Manitoba, and do a talk on 3D printing and making and the importance of having a makerspace or some sort of organization that promotes STEM learning, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in people's towns, because not everybody has a 3D printer. Not everybody needs a 3D printer. Not everybody has access to a laser cutter or even basic woodworking tools. They don't have access to. But becoming a member of your local makerspace can give you access to all that. Now, here in Calgary, we have two really good makerspaces. One is Protopasta, which I am a huge fan of. I love the way they've got their stuff laid out. They haven't changed their monthly membership fees in a couple of years, in a few years, as a matter of fact. And then there's Fuse 33, which is another makerspace here in Calgary. And I think they're both excellent resources for anybody that wants to go in and learn how to use tools. A lot of them, for insurance purposes, have to give you a course on how to use tools safely. And it's not a bad thing if you've never used a table saw or a circular saw or even a drill. These are great places and great resources to take advantage of in your local community. If you don't have one and you've got some tools that you're not afraid to share with other people, think about getting people together and creating your own makerspace where people can come if you don't have one in your town, or maybe look into your local ordinance and see if you can't get some funding for a makerspace and talk to people and see if you can't get sponsorships. Makerspaces are something that I think every town around the world needs. Everything I learned in machine shop and high school translates really well to 3D printing, Dominic says. And I agree with you 100% on that. A lot of what I did as a kid, in my industrial arts program, we learned drafting, which I still use a lot of those fundamentals today. We did graphic arts, we did photography, and for anybody that knows me for a long period of time knows I love photography, and I was a professional photographer for quite a few years, owned my own studio, and I really loved what I did, and I still love doing photography. Metal shop, woodworking, auto mechanics, all that was in our industrial arts program. And then, of course, on the other side of that, you had home ec, which taught you how to cook, how to sew, how to manage your finances, which, again, a lot of these are going by the wayside. We live in such a consumerist world these days that I think if we can make it ourselves, we should make it ourselves. Have the raw materials and make it ourselves. And we're going to be showing you how that all works with raw materials and making some really cool stuff here over the next 6 months as we lead into 2022. Technical drafting for the win. Yes, technical drafting. I love drafting. It was probably one of my favorite subjects in school. I also really loved art. being somebody who drew a lot, that I picked up from my older brother Raymond, who many of you have met on the stream in the chat. It's summertime for him out in Saskatchewan, so he's out working with his lady friend and helping her to improve her yard, which is very, very cool. And I think that he's just the coolest for all the stuff that he knows as well. I play drums. He plays guitar. I haven't played drums in 30 plus years, easily. So when we get together, we don't play instruments. We don't sing together because neither of us can carry a tune in a bucket. But other than that, yeah, as far as 3D printing goes, drafting, woodworking, metalworking, all of that kind of comes into play into 3D printing. There's a lot of those that cross over. A snapshot: took drafting in high school long before CAD. Decided I didn't want to sit at desk all my life. Yes. Being somebody who likes that tactile feel, CAD work for me, still have a hard time wrapping my head around it. If I use it like a piece of paper and I just lay out all of my isometric drawings, and then do the 3D view, I think that works. But to do something in 3D, and I'm still learning. I'm learning every day. I try and take a little bit of time every day to learn CAD. If you can learn it, I would recommend that you do. There's a ton of great videos out there on learning how to use Fusion 360, Tinkercad, SolidWorks. Some great FreeCAD is another one. There are great videos out there online that by much smarter people than myself and teach you how to use them. I tend to use Lars Christensen's tutorials for learning how to use Fusion 360. Lars has got an amazing channel. Go check him out. He does a lot of Fusion 360 videos and tutorials, and they're all free. Take advantage of that free while you can, because it really helps a lot in your learning. There are plenty of places out there to get paid courses. I think that you can get just as good information on YouTube for free. Not to say that diminishes those guys that are putting out courses, but some of the courses, not so great. My wife has taken a couple of courses from online schooling, and she just has a hard time wrapping her head around it. OpenSCAD, Dominic Versetto. Yeah, OpenSCAD is great. I love OpenSCAD. I find it very tough to use because I'm not adversed in it as much as the next guy. It's same thing with Arduino programming. Although I've done programming in C and in C++, sometimes I have a hard time remembering and wrapping my head around it. But I can do it. It takes me a little bit longer. And when I get something wrong, I usually just pass it off to Brian, and he fixes all my code. So I can do it, but I want to learn more, and it's kind of on my bucket list to learn more and be a little bit more proficient in it. It is after 1, so we are going to wrap things up. I want to thank you guys all for joining me today. For those of you that stuck with me, especially when we went down, thank you for sticking with me. I hope to see you guys all again here on Wednesday when we get into part 2 of our Makey the Maker Faire robot build. And I show you how to put it all together. And we start doing some Blockly programming on him just to make him walk or dance or make his eyes blink and that sort of thing. You're so very welcome. I volunteer my time to do this. All I ask that you do is, if you're not a subscriber, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Hit the bell to get notified every time that I put up a new video or I'm going live. 3, if you can, use the super chat or become a member or join our membership and help us out that way, because every little bit helps. And I look forward to seeing you guys again on Wednesday when we talk about Makey, and next Sunday when we are back here, and I will see you in 2 weeks, not this Friday, but the following Friday, back on the filaments.ca channel when I get into part 2 of our bed adhesion. We actually test all these out and go from there. Okay, until I see you guys next time, remember that the first layer is always your foundation for a great print. Bye.